Well, homies, I'm recuperating after hip replacement operation staring at the walls. So that means it's time to address the most serious discussion of the interwebs that so many of you have asked me to discuss. You know what I'm talking about. 100 men versus a slam-dunking Hulkamaniac, Big Daddy Silverback Gorilla. How does this play out? The interesting element in the question is actually much deeper than the light-hearted discussions abounding in social media portray. It is really about how one deduces winning tactics against challenging opponents. A subject of interest to all, the gorilla is seemingly a very formidable opponent. A male can be up to 450 pounds and extremely strong, though it's actually pretty difficult to really measure their strength. One usually hears reports of gorillas being around 10 times the strength of humans, but it's hard to know if this is accurate or not, as there is no reliable testing method for their maximum strength. They have formidable canines and a very powerful bite force. However, I've seen no evidence of them actually using these teeth in fights. They mostly seem to club each other and grapple. Their fights are mostly social dominance fights, with extremely low mortality rate compared with, say, lions. Fights break up as soon as one gorilla backs down. They don't seem to have a drive to kill as smaller primates like chimpanzees and humans do, but rather look to prove a point and then stop. Now, let's compare this with humans. As individuals, an unarmed and untrained human is quite feeble compared with damn near everything in the animal kingdom. Whatever combative ability we have comes mostly from the development and use of weapons, group tactics, physical endurance, and training. However formidable a gorilla might seem, and I'm certain that a single human, even the strongest and best trained, would be utterly crushed by a male gorilla. I do believe that the case of 100 humans could be won by our seemingly feeble species. First, let's discuss the humans in question. Unlike most wild animals, which have fairly uniform fighting abilities, every male lion is fairly evenly matched with another, for example. That's why so many pride takeovers involve multiple lions attacking a single lion. Humans, on the other hand, have massive differences in combative ability, because we engage in years of training to excel in whatever life skill we choose. There is a world of difference between fighting a lifelong accountant rather than an Olympic-level wrestler. So the first question is, who are the 100 humans? Are they 100 average Joes randomly drawn from the population? Or 100 Olympic wrestlers? Or 100 Spartans, Sharka samurai? Let's say we do what human societies have done since the dawn of time. Send our best men out to fight. We send an assortment of elite wrestlers, judo athletes, jiu-jitsu grapplers, mixed with strikers who specialize in the ability to deliver flying kicks that can deliver a forceful blow without committing to extended contact with the gorilla. I would suggest karate and taekwondo experts. But any good kicking experts who can run, deliver a strong kick and then disengage, would be suitable. We also require some who are ideologically motivated to accept terrible injury and even death, say Spartans and samurai, or some other social group with a strong record of death before dishonor. This is important because it is almost certain that some of the humans will have to be sacrificed to achieve victory. So we have the men. What about the tactics? First, let's assume the battle takes place on a large open field so that neither side can grab improvised weapons that could heavily influence the outcome. Humans have many obvious, significant physical disadvantages relative to gorillas, but one very important advantage: endurance. In our ancestral history, the great advantage humans have is endurance. We may be weak, we may be brittle, we may be slow, we may be thin-skinned, but we can go all day, every day. We have myostatin to limit our muscle growth so that we can walk and jog for hours. We have sweat glands to cool us as we do so, and hairless bodies so we don't overheat. Those small muscles of ours can thus keep working for a long time, much longer than most other animals. The gorilla's greatest strength, massive muscle growth unimpeded by myostatin, comes at a price: a small gas tank. So, how do the humans best exploit this? They train extensively to form a mobile encirclement that surrounds the gorilla. They engage in threat behavior that elicits wild charges and social dominance behavior from the gorilla. They train to give ground to the gorilla's charges, utilizing fluid fronts, while other humans, the flying kick experts, attack from the back with kicks that force the gorilla to turn and engage, but which don't require them to try to hold the massive beast while it is still fresh. Hit and run tactics. The encirclement would repeatedly switch sides, provoke, retreat, harass from the back. When the gorilla turns, repeat. They make use of their numerical advantage to work in shifts, so that fresh humans take the frontal positions and work for a set time until replaced by a new shift. This is why it's important that some of the humans be very strongly ideologically committed to victory, because it's very likely that quite a few of the humans would be knocked out cold, limbs dislocated, and quite possibly killed outright in the early exchanges. Some would simply have to be sacrificed. The idea is to use adaptive tactics that change relative to the length of engagement. Initially, focus on encirclement and entice the gorilla into its usual form of combat, social dominance. But use harassment from encirclement, working in shifts, and our superiority in running to keep re-engaging in the same fluid encirclement to extend the time of engagement further and further past what the gorilla can handle. Working in this fashion, a single gorilla would soon start to feel the effects of fatigue. Even the most powerful animal is not powerful at all at the point of exhaustion. Most gorilla fights are measured in seconds rather than hours. If the gorilla managed to break through the encirclement, very likely early on, it would not help, as humans would easily catch up in time. Gorillas are poor distance runners and renew their assault along the same lines. Most primates are extremely inefficient runners and quickly get exhausted when running, thus worsening their situation. As minutes become hours, the human's confidence will grow, and the grapplers will take over from the kickers as it becomes progressively safer to grapple. They start to engage more and more decisively, looking to use 2 or 3 men at a time to pull on its limbs. Drag the gorilla around until the exhausted gorilla begins to exhibit traditional social subservience behavior, and the humans pin it. Now comes the end. To actually finish a gorilla would be quite difficult for an unarmed human. Striking it would likely have very little effect, as they regularly take hits from rival gorillas, swinging with blows many times greater than any human could generate. The other main method of killing used by unarmed humans, strangulation, would be very difficult to achieve. Male gorillas have a neck around 30 to 36 inches circumference. It would be exceedingly difficult to apply a conventional stranglehold on them. You could use a triangle stranglehold with your legs, but that would require placing by your groin directly in front of their massive canine teeth. Even the most ideologically committed human would balk at that prospect. However, the humans will presumably be clothed. They could easily fashion their pants or jacket sleeves into a noose and use that to strangle the exhausted gorilla and thus win an unexpected victory against a mighty enemy. It would be a hard-fought win with quite a few of the humans severely injured and possibly even killed. However, by using the best elements of humanity, teamwork, extensive training, common language to guide group behavior, the use of strategy and tactics based upon rational beliefs deduced from observation and inference, sacrifice for the greater good, reliance upon our best and most distinctive physical attributes, endurance, selection of the best qualified candidates for the task, and a proven method of finishing the combat decisively, strangulation. I believe the humans may be able to take an unexpected victory. Remember, we humans are weak and vulnerable as unarmed individuals, but working as a trained group, motivated to the point where we see the greater good of the group as more important than our own welfare, using our collective intelligence to figure out sound tactics based on considerations of our own strengths and an opponent's weaknesses, we become much more formidable. Never forget that the side that can choose when, where, and how long to engage is rarely the weaker side in practice, no matter the raw physicality of the opponent.